Okay, back into the one and only Ivan today. So let me get into the classroom for, excuse me. One thing I noticed, I was doing grading in our Google, excuse me, in our Google Classrooms. And I was looking at chapters 42 through 48, and a lot of you have not turned those in. A couple of you, I think, had, but several of you have not. So if you would, double check that, make sure that it's ready to turn in, and then get that turned in, please. So it looks like Jenny has and Amy has. And I didn't look to see if those of you that have not turned them in, if you had them done or not. But get those turned in. That was chapters 42 through 48. Okay. All right, so now back into 49 through 63. I keep setting my book down and forget where I'm putting it. All right, we're ready to start reading the chapter Hunger on page 133. And for the questions, excuse me, we have done the vocabulary, correct? What about the fill in the blank, 1 through 5 on 49 through 63? Did we get 5 done? Did we answer about Helen? Okay, we haven't done the character analysis, have we?
No.
Okay. What about on the second slide? I know we did question 1, the promise Ivan made to Stella before she died.
Yeah.
And then I know we did 2, what does Ivan remember about his past life? That was the story that he was telling to Ruby. Have we done 3?
No.
What was life like for Ivan back when he first lived with Mac and Helen?
No.
Okay. I don't think we'd quite finished all of that yet.
And then we did one emotion.
One of the emotions. Okay, thank you. All right, so now if you remember the last time we read, Ivan was talking about his time with Mac and Helen. That was on page 130. It was called The Temporary Human. And that was when he was talking about all the things that he broke when he lived with them. Do you remember that? He listed all those different things. And Mac and Helen treated him like a normal kid, right? Like a human kid. They would go through a drive-through in their convertible car, and Mac would ask for extra ketchup for his kid. Could you imagine if you were working at that drive-through and you saw somebody in the drive-through waiting to get their food with a young gorilla in the car with them? And they said, I need some extra ketchup for my kid. You'd think they were crazy, wouldn't you? I would. He talked about all the things he got to do. He got to go to baseball games. He got to go to the grocery store. Did he talk about going to a circus? Seems like he had mentioned a circus. Let me skim through here. Oh, movie theater, circus, rode a motorbike, got to have a birthday cake with candles. And it finished off by saying, my life as a human was a glamorous one, although my parents, traditional sorts, would not have approved. So he was talking about his birth mom and dad there. They wouldn't have liked him being raised as a human, would they? So now, starting with hunger on 133. In my new life as a human, I was well tended. I ate lettuce leaves with Thousand Island dressing, and caramel apples, and popcorn with butter. My belly ballooned. What does that mean?
Poppin'.
His belly got really big. But hunger, like food, comes in many shapes and colors. At night, lying alone in my poo pajamas, I felt hungry for the skilled touch of a grooming friend, for the cheerful grunts of a play fight, for the easy safety of my nearby troop foraging through shadows. Remember what happened to Tag? I told myself. Don't think about the jungle. Still, sometimes I lay awake, wishing for the warmth of another just like me, asleep in a night nest of tender prayer plant leaves. I liked having sips of soda poured into my mouth, like a bubbling waterfall, but every now and then I longed to search for a tender stalk of arrowroot, to feel the tease of a mango just out of reach. So, to me, it seems like he's a little bit sad. He likes being treated like a human,
Yeah.
but he's missing what he would have been doing if he were still in the wild as a gorilla, finding his own food, sleeping in, one of the nests in the trees, having other gorillas around. He's missing that gorilla touch from other gorillas is what he's talking about there. Chapter Still Life on 135. This is the last chapter in this group that we're going to be reading. One day, Helen came home with something large and flat, wrapped in brown paper. "Look what I bought today," she said excitedly as she tore off the paper. "A painting to go over the living room couch." "Fruit in a bowl," Max said with a shrug. "Big deal." "This is fine art. It's called a still life," Helen explained, "and I think it's lovely." I dashed over to examine the painting, marveling at the colors and shapes. "See," said Mac's wife, "Ivan likes it." "Ivan likes to roll up poop and throw it at squirrels," Mac said. I couldn't take my eyes off the apples and bananas and grapes in the picture. They looked so real, so inviting, so edible. You know what edible means? Means you can eat it. What do you think is going to happen?
He's gonna try it.
I reached out to touch a grape, and Helen slapped my hand. "Bad boy, Ivan, don't touch." She jerked her thumb at Mac. "Honey, go get a hammer and a nail, would ya?" While Mac and Helen were busy in the living room, I wandered into the kitchen. A cake covered in thick chocolate frosting sat on the counter. I like cake. Love it, in fact. But it wasn't eating, I was thinking about. It was painting. Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Can you infer what's going to happen next? Because Ivan loves to paint, right?
Yeah.
What do you think he's going to do, Raylan?
He's gonna paint with the chocolate onto the
You think so? Use that frosting to paint with? Is it going to have a good outcome or a bad outcome for him? A bad one. Let's read on. The frosting peaked and dipped like waves on a tiny pond. It looked rich and gooey, dark and smooth. It looked like mud. I scooped up a handful of frosting. I scooped up another. I headed to the refrigerator door. It was perfect, an empty, white, waiting canvas. The frosting wasn't as easy to work with as jungle mud. It was stickier and, of course, more tempting to eat. But I kept at it. I scraped off every last bit of that frosting. I may have eaten a little cake too. I don't remember what I was trying to paint. A banana, most likely. I suppose I knew I was going to get in trouble. But at that moment, I just didn't care. I wanted to make something, anything, the way I used to. I wanted to be an artist again. Okay, so that's the end of chapters 49 through 63, that group that we had been reading. So here's what we're going to do. Take a look at number 3 on the comprehension and analysis part on slide 2. What was life like for Ivan back when he first lived with Mac and Helen? Now, you might need to skim back through the book, friends, to help you out with that, like I was doing earlier. And it starts, oops, I went back too far. It starts on page 130 with the chapter, The Temporary Humans. So use text evidence to help you type in what life was like for Ivan back when he was first living with Mac and Helen. Okay? Then, class,
Yes, yes.
look at the beyond part. We've done one of the emotions. It says, write 3 emotions that Ivan feels in these chapters. I forgot to have us do another one partway through. So we're not going to do this third one. We'll just do the middle one. You have the first one done. We're just going to do the middle one. So what emotion does Ivan have? Like, how is he feeling in another part of what we read? Now, don't do the same one that you did before. So you're going to need to reread and then give the reasons that you put for that. Choose a different emotion and different reasons for that emotion. Okay, that completes all of slide 2, doesn't it? Once you complete 3 and the second emotion. Okay, then double check slide 1. I know we did the quick write. Vocabulary is taken care of. If it's not on your slide, you'll need to take care of that. And you can use, seriously, don't know where I've put everything. You can use your vocabulary handout to help you with that. Make sure you have all of those answered in the fill in the blank. We worked on those before. If you were absent, you'll need to get those done. Let's take a look at the character analysis. Think about one of the characters so far. You're going to compare and contrast yourself with that character. Just one character though, okay? So what I want you to do right now is go ahead and type in the character that you're going to compare yourself with. So if you're going to compare yourself with Stella, or Ruby, or Mac, or Helen, or Ivan, or Julia, or George, or Bob. Okay, decide which character you're going to compare and contrast yourself with. Have you thought of who you're going to do?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just pretending like this is my character's name. Character. Pretty creative, huh? Alright, so now, when you compare, what do? You don't have to type this. I'm just putting this up on the board for you. But when you compare things, what do? Things that are, yeah, things that you have in common with them. Things that are the same. Okay, so then if you contrast, what does that mean you're doing? Ways that you are different from them. Okay. All right, so once you get all of those done, friends, you're going to turn this in also. Okay? Are there questions? I went over a lot. Yes.
What do we do
When you're done, is that what you said? Or what you asked, I mean? Why don't you read if there's time? Okay? You have 32 minutes to work on finishing up any things that you need to finish from before. This character analysis, 3, and just one more emotion, right? We're going to leave the third one blank. Okay? All right. So I will give you that, I'll leave this up here, but I will give you now 31 minutes to work on this. Okay? All right, you may sit around the room if you would like to, or you can stay at your seat.